4. We are Movie Menu Reviews. Tag, you're it, from saving the world. On today's menu, we'll be reviewing Tag and The Incredibles 2. Welcome, ladies and gents. I'm Dan the Man Munoz, host of Movie Menu Reviews, your weekly movie news and reviews podcast live on Facebook with special guest, Vasthi Leaf.
Vasthi!
Thank you for having me.
So glad to be that you're on the show.
I'm so happy to be here.
Yay!
Yeah.
Also here today, joining us is Z.
Yes. Hi.
And also here is Mike Stan.
There you go. That's good.
Mm-hmm. So we have a jam-packed show today because we'll be doing 2 reviews. That's right. 2 for the price of 1.
They're not paying for this, Dan.
What?
This is free.
On that note, let's go ahead and move on to our movie news of the week, which first will be the trailer for The Nun, which is a spin-off from the Conjuring series. So it's in the Conjuring universe, but this movie takes place before the Conjuring. So does that make it like a prequel?
It's like a prequel because you had Annabelle, and it's like even before that prequel. We're going even further back. So. And then it'll be great if they just keep rolling out prequels, and then they bring out another monster, and
it's like the Conjuring is what moves it forward, but the spin-offs take it back.
Yeah,
so it's like reverse.
Yeah. That would be interesting, actually. I don't know.
Can they reverse their ways to making better movies? Is that an option?
Well, I thought Annabelle Creation
so.
was pretty good.
Yeah, you're right. That was good. The Conjuring 2, I think I liked 2, so that was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the nun got introduced. I don't know. Like
I did like the nun's cameo in Annabelle the Creation. It was just a picture of the nun shadow and stuff. It was pretty cool.
Do we know who's directing this one? Because I wonder if it's because I think it was James Wan who directed the Conjuring 2, and that one was surprisingly scary. And I forget Annabelle.
Corin Hardy is directing it.
Yeah. Okay. Corin Hardy.
Which I don't know if that means anything.
Nothing to me. Yeah.
Vasthi, now you're not a fan of horror movies, so how did you respond?
Happy I'm here.
I know, we were like, oh, Vasti's gonna be on the show. We have to do a horror thing.
Well, here's the thing. I don't like horror. I especially don't like supernatural horror. And this seems to have every element of the type of horror
that you
don't like, which is like when it comes to demons and religion.
You mean you don't like jump scares?
I could probably do slasher porn more than the...
You should say it's slasher porn?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
just slashing?
I was like, what kind of movie is that? So you're more into like body horror, like that kind of...
I'm not into... I could tolerate it.
Okay.
If a group of friends really want to see, I'll suck it up.
Yeah,
but
you'll watch
on
it.
my own, I'm not gonna do it.
So we're watching The Nun then, right?
I walked right into that
So
one.
you're reviewing The Nun. You're now...
You'll be back for that. On a much lighter note. Oh, well, Mike, what did you think?
The trailer is just one big jump scare. That's what it is.
It is.
And it's a cheap trick because, like, inside the theaters, the volume is so loud that you'll jump just because you'll jump in the same way that somebody knocks over a table or like somebody knocks over
or you stub your toe.
Mike, you're just jealous or you're bitter because jump scares always get you.
I did go like but I was like angry about it when it happened. So like, but just because
you're like the old man, get off my lawn.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind. But it worked. I would say like more than half the audience that watched it after the jump scare, they were clapping for it. So I think this film's going to do very well. Regardless of how good or bad it is, it's going to do well.
I think it looks good and has Damien Bichir in it, and I think he's a really good actor.
Yeah.
So I'm going to check it out.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Either way, I'll be checking.
After Annabelle, the first one, I was
Yeah.
like, forget this universe. It's gonna I'm tired of spin-offs. But then Annabelle Creation kind of won me over.
Yeah.
I kind of want what I want to see is I want to see the behind the scenes of them in the studio making the decision to make this movie because they're still locked in a lawsuit. So like I that's why they're making all the prequels films because they can't do any more Conjuring movies. So I'm wondering like what decision making was going on in that room that they were like, let's focus on the Nun.
I think there were talks about it already. Like when they started doing Annabelle, they were like, I think it's Marvel's fault. It's the whole expanded universe.
I agree.
Philosophy.
Damn you, Marvel.
It's like how can we milk the expanded universe thing?
Yeah,
it's like,
that's true.
So that's all you're gonna see is just
this is part 5 in the whole series. The
Yeah.
Conjuring 1, The Conjuring 2, Annabelle Creation, and now The Nun. So it's part 5 in the whole.
Yeah.
Well, if
But
it's good, I wouldn't say milking it.
Yeah,
I'd
they're
say
good.
milking it
You're
if
right.
it was bad.
Yeah,
You're right.
that's true.
You're right. Yeah, Annabelle, the first one was a bad direction.
Yeah.
And then Annabelle Creation, it was actually fun. It was a fun horror film. So this one, I think they've kind of found like a
Happy medium, hopefully.
Yeah, I think they found the medium. They're like, yeah, we know this is like cheesy popcorn filmish, but you'll have fun.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm okay with that.
Yeah, hopefully the director can do it because I think the reason why Annabelle Creation was good was because they got the director for Lights Out, for The Conjuring 2 they got director for I think it was a Fast and Furious, and it was still really it was well directed.
I was amazed.
Yeah, so I'm just saying like hopefully this Corbin dude can direct himself out of a paper bag. Corin, cool. Yeah, hopefully he can direct.
Hopefully,
yeah.
We'll see. We'll find out in September. Now, on a much lighter note, but
not really.
Well, not really.
So like that it flies? Or?
Oh,
nah,
with a feather.
You're fired, Mike. Dumbo is the live-action Dumbo movie.
Yeah.
Just got a trailer that we all saw together.
Yes.
It is and it literally says in the trailer, from the imagination of Tim Burton. So what did you guys think about the trailer for Dumbo?
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Comes out in March of next year. Seems like that's the prime time for their Disney releases of live action. Cinderella was March. Yeah. And Beauty and the Beast was March. Jungle Book was in May, but it seems like March might be a good time because Beauty and the Beast made a lot of money.
They did, March. Yeah. I'm just wondering where Johnny Depp is in the whole movie. Have we completely blacklisted him now? It
was replaced by Christopher Plummer.
Oh, damn, that's good.
Nice.
Yeah. Well done.
But I guess it's nice to see Michael Keaton and Tim Burton back together, and then Danny DeVito is in there as well.
Absolutely.
Now it's been a while since I've seen the original Dumbo film.
Yes.
But what do you guys think about there being more humans interactions?
That I'm not opposed to. So I remember watching Dumbo as a kid and having nightmares.
And crying? Yeah.
No, having nightmares.
Oh, well, the pink elephant?
The pink elephants, the purple elephants, yeah. Because they're in the same way with Pinocchio, there are horror elements in these stories. So I think in the hands of Tim Burton, I think we're safe with that. I just don't want it to look a lot like Alice in Wonderland. Like that's where I don't want this movie to go. So it looks beautiful, and I hope that he keeps it real. I think that's the right way for Tim Burton to go. But as soon as he starts going into his gothic style, I'm just gonna check out and not really be into it.
Well, Vasthi brought up a good point where we watched that. It reminded you of Big Fish.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's hope that this is more Big Fish than Alice in Wonderland.
I'm optimistic because I saw Danny DeVito. And he was the ringmaster in Big Fish.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, are they kind of overlapping a little bit?
Or like the Tim Burton cinematic universe.
We're bringing it back.
They're doing it again.
Damn you, Marvel!
I'm also optimistic because, with the exception of Beauty and the Beast, I have not been disappointed with any of the Disney remakes, the live action ones. And I think Beauty and the Beast was a little too page by page.
Yeah, it was a carbon copy. Yeah.
The others have reimagined it just enough where I have enjoyed every single one of them.
Yeah.
And I'm optimistic that this is going to follow that and not the Beauty and the Beast way.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, it comes out March 2019, so
Nice.
let's hopefully we'll find out then.
Yeah.
Z, you have a movie news.
Yeah.
story.
Well, speaking of cinematic universes, the DC.
That's not Marvel.
Yeah, this is the DC universe. You know, the one that's not doing well. So Geoff Johns, who was the chief creative co-director officer, has stepped down. Now, if anybody knows Geoff Johns, he's the guy who writes some of the best comic books for DC. So he's currently revamping the whole DC universe, integrating the Watchmen into DC. So he's doing a lot of awesome comic books. He's also got signed on to do this role, and he has officially stepped down about 2 weeks ago. So this is all news. But this week, the news came out that he said that, in fact, when he took on the role, he expected way more control over the content. So when Batman v Superman came out, they put him on because they were like, fix it for us. It's terrible. We need to like get more audiences. And then Justice League got greenlit. So he greenlit Justice League, but he had no creative control over it. So what he's done now is he stepped down, took a producer role and a writer role to create all the new DC Extended Universe films. And so the first one he's going to start working on is the Green Lantern Corps. And the way he's writing it is Hal Jordan and... Who was the second guy, Dan? Hal Jordan
and Jon Stewart.
And Jon Stewart as a buddy cop film in like the same way that you would see Lethal Weapon. So what do you guys think of that?
Sci-fi buddy cop. It sounds fun.
It sounds fun, right? Like
it
just sounds fun. Like I think with him, like with Geoff Johns, the great thing about his comics is that they're always smart. Like you can tell that there's like a person who loves the craft and is willing to write really fun comic books. Mm-hmm. So the fact that he got into that role, and I was super excited when he got put as the co-director, but clearly he wasn't given the allowance to do stuff. Do you guys feel like there's a chance for the DC universe to pull it out of the sinking hole it's currently in?
There's always a chance.
Yeah?
I think it wasn't that long ago that Marvel was making some questionable choices, and now we're like, oh my god, there's a before and after. You know.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think it's good that it's kind of like branching out now into. I know we've talked about it before, where it's mixing in the subgenres. So like it's no longer like a comic book movie, but now they're kind of like catching up to the whole idea of mixing the comic book genre with actual other film genres. So so like a comic book buddy cop. Right. so it's like a comic buddy cop film that happens to exist in this comic universe. Yeah. So I think it'll be. I'm hoping it'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, it can't be any worse than what we got originally with the Green Lantern movie with Ryan Reynolds.
It'll be great if he's in there somehow.
And I mean, like a cameo where he just gets punched in the face.
Yeah.
No, it's gonna be the cameo of him reading the.
It's just that
shot
exact
back of the head.
that exact Deadpool clip all over again.
Yeah. So I'm hoping for the best here because I know that currently on the docket they have Jared Leto doing a standalone Joker film. So like,
but not only that, I believe they're doing their own standalone another Joker film.
Yeah.
With Joaquin Phoenix,
which is super weird. Like I don't think they've got any direction at DC right now.
And that's Martin Scorsese is producing the one with.
That's what I heard.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's two Joker movies.
That's weird.
In the talks
super
right
bizarre.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, hopefully Geoff Johns can help out in some way.
I hope so.
And right the ship.
Mm-hmm.
But only time will tell.
Yeah.
So since we have two movies to review, the first one we're going to do is Tag. So stay tuned.
You're it.
Yep, I'm it, because I have not seen this film, so I'll be hosting. So the movie we're reviewing is Tag, directed by Jeff Tomsic, written by Bob McKittrick and Mark Steelan, based on the Wall Street Journal article by Russell Adams. Here's the plot. A small group of former classmates organize an elaborate annual game of tag that requires some to travel all over the country. It stars Jeremy Renner, Ed Helms, Jake Johnson, John Hamm, Hannibal Buress, and Isla Fisher. All right, guys, so I have not seen this film, so depending on your spoiler-free review, I shall decide if this movie is worth the dining and watching in theaters. Take out, way to watch it at home, or leftovers. Get run over by a car by playing tag on the street instead of watching this film.
Do you have a personal history with that? Did that happen once?
I don't remember.
Share with the class.
Yeah, he lost his memory after.
Yeah.
Where am I? I'm just kidding. So whoever convinces me to go with your review rating, you will earn a point. Whoever has the most points by the end of the season could have a segment by the end of the next season. Vasthi, as a special guest, if you earn a point, you can keep it. If you earn up to 10 points, you could trade it in for your own segment if you want. Or you could get boba, horchata, torta, something.
That's $5.97.
Something like that.
The way you guys said "or," you want me to give the point away, or
I mean,
pass it on to you.
Yeah.
At this point,
or you could donate your point to one of us.
At this point, we don't want the points, so please don't do that.
No, after like so many seasons of now we have to think of segments to do.
Yeah,
it's a lot of work.
Really, really hard to do. Yeah.
The point thing is like we still do it, but it's like not fun anymore.
It's like torture now. It just feels like I would rather not.
We kid.
The torta price has changed.
It's gone up.
So it's gone up.
Where
So
is it
we gotta match the torta prices.
Where is it at now?
It's now like 6 something.
Oh,
damn.
it is.
Okay. Damn inflation.
So it's no longer $5.97.
Dang it.
Yeah, it'll always be equal to the King torta.
We are sponsored by. Let's move on to the review of Tag.
Okay.
All right, guys. Rate this film. Vasthi, as our guest, you may go first.
I'm gonna give it a dine-in.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the dine-in as well. I think this was a really fun movie, and I think that like while there's nothing spoilery about the film, I don't think it's still a really fun ride, and you should definitely like go watch it.
All right, it was super fun. I'm gonna give it a takeout though.
You give it a takeout,
and I'll explain why.
Okay, all right.
Please do. Go ahead. You can explain right now.
Okay, I'll explain right now.
Go for it.
As the film went on, as you see both in the trailer and in the film, in the beginning, they mentioned how this is inspired by a true story.
Yeah.
So as the film goes on, I just became more and more interested in the real story rather than the movie I was watching. So by the end of it, I would have wished I had seen like a documentary about the real people than just the film that I was watching. So
Interesting.
I still had fun watching it, but I was more interested in that story.
I kind of feel like the great thing about this film, like, and I agree with you on that. Like, and we do see clips at the very end of the real people playing tag,
which is great.
Before we go into it, though, just for people who don't know, and I'm just asking for a friend, what are the rules of tag for this, the way they play it?
So Dan,
that's like Dan's question is like Tommy Wiseau when he asked about football in the room. So
so basically, Dan, you tag somebody, and then
what does it mean to tag someone?
Well, you do this,
touch,
and now Vasti's
physical
it.
Contact.
Yes,
and then
physical
you're
contact, and then you're it.
But never mind. I was
No, that there are rules to the game, and it's really funny because I think like halfway through the movie they break out the rule book and they have like a whole bunch of ridiculous rules, like
amendments.
Amendments. No punching somebody in the asshole. Which they were like, but why would you make that rule up? And they're like, we don't. It's just a rule. So yeah, there are rules, but the basic concept is you have to tag somebody in the month of May, and
only in the month.
Only in the month of May. So that's how they kind of controlled, it spilling over. And the last person to get tagged gets deemed the loser for the whole year. So it's just like it's one of those like bragging rights.
But in tag, you can't. If someone tags you, you can't tag them back.
You can't do tag.
You
backs.
have to move.
Yeah, you have to pass it around.
Well, they did do tag backs in this.
They didn't. They did. No, they didn't.
Yeah, they did.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, they did.
No.
Yeah, they did.
No.
Yeah, they did.
No.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
I think they asked for it back. Like if
They do. They did. Yeah.
If they said, "Hey, tag me back," then that'd
Yeah.
be the exception.
I think that there's a part where they're like, you can't do that. You can't, and they're just like smacking each other.
Right?
Oh no, but they're doing it in a triangle, so they're not doing tag backs. They're doing it to each other.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's not tagging back at that point.
Got you. Okay.
Looks like someone needs to know the rules.
Yeah.
All right. I've never played tag. I'm sorry. No, I'm just kidding.
We can play afterwards, Mike.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds fun.
Not in the street, please.
Dan's got some trauma he's working through. He cannot play in the streets.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
My main thing I also want to know about this film is how's the chemistry between the 5 leads?
Yeah,
in the movie.
Well, I would say probably like 6.
Does
leads.
it seem like they are 6 leads?
Yeah, they're all amazing. I think that the great part about this film is that, well, there's 5 leads. So you have Ed Helms, John Hamm, Jake Johnson, Hannibal Buress, and Jeremy Renner. Jeremy Renner gets introduced like about, I want to say probably 1/4 into the movie, and he's introduced in a fantastic way, like the big bad. Like he's like the guy we want to get. And
he's the one who hasn't been tagged for like years.
For
right?
30
Ever.
years. Yeah, ever. And I think the way that that each of the actors plays their roles gives it enough background that you actually get invested in who they are as individuals. Like I could tell you each of these characters and what their backstories was just from watching the film, and it's that kind of a film wants you to, that's the kind of like familiarity you want in a film, because you want to go back and watch it again or watch the sequel because you've enjoyed the company of these people. So the chemistry works really well, and I think the supporting cast is also really, really good. Isla Fisher probably has the best one-liners in the film, and every time she's on screen, she pretty much steals the scene, and it's fantastic. And then you have another character, Annabelle Wellis, who's doing the article, so she's in the role of the Wall Street Journal, and she's also supporting, and she's kind of playing the audience and going like, why are you doing this? This is really stupid. So yeah, I think everybody's chemistry was fantastic. Vasthi?
I agree.
Yeah.
I also, oddly enough, I agree with what Mike was saying, but that's part of the reason why I'd give it a dine-in.
Yeah.
Immediately, right off the bat, I'll admit I wouldn't have watched this had it not said based on a true story.
Interesting.
Because I'm like, oh, is this just another copycat of Game Night? Which
Right.
I also really enjoyed,
Yeah.
but I thought, I like all of the actors, but it just didn't seem like enough for me to want to pay money to see this.
Yeah.
And
though-
is it something I should probably wait till it's
Even
on
though you
Netflix or
have
something?
Movie Pass
Yeah.
now?
I am not. Everybody has Movie Pass. I'm trying. Several of my friends don't have Movie Pass, so I guess I'm trying to get into their heads.
No, I'm just
Is
kidding.
this still worth $17?
That's usually my rule of thumb too. But yeah, I think it's definitely worth the fun. Like I think I don't know about you guys, but I walked out of this movie going like, why didn't I play tag when I was like, why don't I have a 30-year-old game running?
We were just saying that we've known each other for 20 years.
Yeah.
So why do we?
We have way.
You can still.
We can still start it.
You're
Yeah.
right. Last year.
Yeah.
There was something else I wanted to mention
Yeah.
about this that I'd say it's not for everybody, but
Yeah.
I felt like I was given permission to laugh at some of the really inappropriate things I normally laugh at with my friends in private. Hearing an audience just roaring
we
out.
want to know now
laughter.
what kind of things you laugh at in private.
That said, I will say that this might trigger a few people.
Yeah.
And I know and I'm not just saying that because we're in a really humor sensitive time right now, but
Yeah. There is a joke that kind of goes a little like
Overboard?
a little overboard, and I think that they do make reference to like them going like, no, that's not okay. Like they really do, and I think that becomes more of the joke, right? Like that becomes more of the joke of like, you shouldn't have said something like that. That's really fucked up. But the joke becomes about that and less about the comment itself. But you're right. That was a moment where I laughed really hard, and then I was like,
dang,
oh,
yeah.
I'm
I should not be
terrible.
laughing at
Yeah, I
this.
should not be laughing at that.
But also, I think the build up to that
Yeah.
those moments, you're not surprised that they would go that
Yeah.
far.
And
Like you understand that the bond that these guys have, it's just kind of understood. And I
Yeah.
know several of groups of friends like that.
Yes, yeah, and I'm sure we all have friends like that who will like do lowbrow humor, and you're like, yeah, that's funny because it's funny to joke around about things like that, but at the same time, you're like, oh, I should not have laughed at that. The other part that I wanna comment on is Geoff Tomsic. I think that's the director. He hasn't directed a lot of things. Like I got him down for TJ Miller's stand-up. He also did Wreck, the TV show, and Broad City. So he's mainly a TV director, and the way he directed this film was fun. The sequence in which they introduced Jeremy Renner's character, it's introduced like in the same way that you would see, say, Sherlock Holmes, the movie,
right?
Where like he's narrating, but he's commenting on like the stupidity of everybody in that room trying to tag him, and it's done so eloquently and so much and with so much care and fun that I was just it was like watching Deadpool, where it was a little fourth wall breaking because he was making comments about characters.
And he was such a badass apparently in the film, right? His character. But did you guys know that he broke both his arms?
Both his arms.
Did he?
Yeah.
I did read that actually.
He after doing a stunt, he fell 20 feet. Wow. And he broke his
two arms.
Both his arms.
Yeah. So they were CGI arms. He was basically T-Rex on the show.
That's great.
He was literally Deadpool when he cuts off his hand and they grow back.
Yeah. So a lot of the times, and you can actually, I mean, I think only because I was watching out for that. You can see when it's not his hands. But like it's only because I was watching out for that. It's only because I was.
No, I actually forgot.
There were. I had no idea, so it was well done.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of moments where he's holding the camera to his face, and then you see a hand pop up, and the hand looks bigger than it should be because of like, So it was just.
I don't know if they actually like halted production. I mean, I'm sure they halted production. So I don't know if they continued after.
They did. Yeah, they did. They CGI'd most of his hands in.
They did.
That's what they said.
That's amazing.
But going back to what you said about being curious about actually seeing a documentary, what I got from those last clips, when you see them, I'm like, oh, that looks stranger than fiction. Like, there's, I can't even say that. It could have gone so many different ways, or I could see how it might have spiraled out of control, but I kind of want to see that too.
Yeah.
And they looked older.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
they were
they
much
started older.
Yeah.
This didn't start.
So you're saying we could start now?
Yes.
Oh,
I was in.
No tagbacks.
Yeah. Hey,
No, I tagged Vasthi.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's fair. All right.
So how old are the original or the real?
They look like they were in
their
their 50s. Like they looked
like now they're in their 50s.
Yeah. They look like the video footage they show. They look like they're in their 50s. Yeah. So I'm just saying we could start now.
Oh well, since it's not in the movie.
Yeah.
There was a priest in the real footage.
Yeah.
And
I'm surprised.
I want to see that.
Yeah, that's exactly as you said. That sounds like a stranger than fiction thing. It's like a priest wouldn't be playing that. Oh no, there's a father right there in the photo when you see it. Yeah. And it's a much bigger group too. It looked like there were like about 10 to 12 people.
Oh yeah.
So I can see for like story wise they needed to condense it a little bit.
Yeah,
but I still enjoyed it enough to want to be in that. I love being in a movie theater where everybody's loud and reacting to what's going on.
Yeah.
So I would say don't see this in like maybe a highbrow area or the theater where people are going to get really.
Don't go to the ArcLight to watch this.
Don't go to Lemley.
Don't go to Lemley. No, for sure. And you know what though? Then here's the other thing. It's like I would say yes, take out also, but only because like I feel like this movie can it's a good repeat viewing kind of film. So if you watch it in theaters and you want to watch it again, just wait for watching it at home. But I think this movie definitely is like one movie that you can watch again and get a lot of the jokes you missed because you were laughing so hard at them.
Oh, so we have a comment. Okay. Rigo says, tag, take out, Incredibles, take out.
What?
Oh,
Rigo has no idea what he's talking about. Rigo, get out of your
Rigo?
Yeah, get out of your shower. Put some clothes on.
Do you have any final words? Because I think I heard enough.
I that's a good point that Vasthi was making, where you should watch this in a very, very loud theater. Because when in the theater,
so you agree with Dinan then?
if it was because my theater wasn't that like.
Oh, did you go to highbrow? Did you go to a highbrow theater?
I went to Renaissance. I wouldn't call it Renaissance highbrow.
No,
but I wouldn't say that it's a particularly loud theater. I probably should have seen this at like a AMC Montebello maybe. Mm-hmm. I think.
I'll even say like where I have been seeing movies lately is at the Grove, and that is consistently an audience reaction friendly theater, and it really has enhanced certain movies that I've even seen twice where I'm like, oh, some of those jokes didn't land. Like, oh, just a side note, Ocean's 8 I saw once there and once somewhere else.
Interesting.
And I had two different experiences.
Yeah.
That's really
that makes sense.
That's really interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. I say go watch the film. This film is worth the price of admission. I think it's fun. I think you'll laugh. I think within like the first 30 minutes, I laughed like 20 times. And it was consistently funny. Like there are some moments where the pacing does dip, where there has to be like an emotional center to the film. but even at that, it gets usurped by one of the raunchiest jokes ever, and so you're okay with it. So like it does help you get through the movie, even though there is that emotional center. And we've talked about like Tammy, for example, that has too much of an emotional center for a comedy, or it's trying to do a lot of emotional center stuff. This one has an emotional center. There's a reason. There's a heart to it, but it doesn't linger on it enough that you forget you're watching a comedy. So I say go watch it. It's really funny. You'll enjoy yourself.
I guess my final thought is you're also kept guessing.
Yeah.
You're part of the game. You're and it was enough for me to definitely recommend this to see it in that movie theater.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I will go with Dine In. Watch it in theaters. Take that, Rigo.
Hey, Rigo, you're it.
So go watch it in theaters. If you have not seen it yet, I will be watching it today. We're going to move on to our next review, which I will toss the host and duties over to Z.
Yeah.
Movie menu.
The movie we're reviewing is The Incredibles 2, directed and written by Brad Bird, starring Craig T. Nelson, Holly Hunter, and Sarah Vowell. Is there any other names I should have added to this list? I think that's the main cast. Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, there's other people, but that's fine.
Gotcha. Here's the plot. Bob Parr, Mr. Incredible, is left to care for Jack Jack while Helen, Elastigirl, is out saving the world. So again, depending on your spoiler-free review, I haven't seen this film. I will decide this movie's worth dine in, watch it in theaters, a takeout, watch it at home, or leftovers. I don't know.
Wear a cape and get blown up.
Yes. No capes. Yeah, there you go. Now, whoever wins will earn a point, and whoever has the most points at the end of the season will develop a segment, will air. And again, Vasthi, you've already earned 1 point. I think you earned a point previously as well. So that means you're at 2 points. So if you earn another point, you're closer to those 10 points to get yourself a torta, or you can develop your own segment.
Awesome.
All right. You can also donate the points, but we don't want them, so keep it. All right. So, all right, guys. Rate this film.
I'm, again, giving this a dine-in.
Dine-in? Okay. It's a pretty good week, huh?
Or I'm just that optimistic.
It's a leftovers.
It's a leftovers for you.
Just kidding. I brought it back.
No, you know what? No, you're sticking to leftovers. No. 0 points for Dan.
No, it's a dine-in. Watch the theaters for sure.
Mike?
Dine-in as well.
All right.
Solid dine-in.
Solid dine-in. Okay, so tell me.
You hear that, Rigo? It's a dine-in.
Oh, that's right. Did
Rigo say take out?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. Hey, Rigo, explain why. No, but really, just tell us why. Why do you think it wasn't that good of a movie? Now, I haven't seen this movie, so I've seen the first one. The first one was released 14 years ago, so that's a long time to wait for a sequel.
The funny thing, the movie picks up like literally.
That was my question. Yeah, does it pick up right away?
Yeah. So the first movie ends with the miner, or I forgot his name, but
the Undertaker.
The Underminer.
The Underminer.
So he comes up, and then he like he's gonna take over the city or whatever, and the Incredibles like the action pose movie ends.
Yes.
Movie starts with that. Well, actually, the movie starts with an interrogation, but that's besides the point.
Okay.
It opens up with
it's there.
The action pose.
How did the story pick up? Does it feel like it's fluid? Does it feel like it's like, the next step in the
no
series?
Time passed?
Like no time has passed. Yeah. What's the plot? Like what happens in this movie? Because I feel like the issue, right? You have a sequel that's 14 years in the making. And we've talked about how a lot of films when they're sequels, right? Guardians of the Galaxy 2, they're not as good. So this film, you're saying, is it equally as good as the first, or is it not as good as the first but still good?
I think it's equally as good as the first, if not just a little bit more fun.
Oh, okay. All right. So what's the story?
I would agree with Dan there. Yeah. I think, as we know, Mr. Incredible, he is now a stay-at-home father.
Yeah.
And the story is that...
It develops into that.
Yeah, the story is that supers, I guess that's what they're called, are still... It's still illegal. So
it's still
you know
legal.
How... even though they beat... Syndrome from the first movie, they're still illegal.
Yeah.
So... There's this company that wants to overturn that law, and during the opening fight, Mr. Incredible like damages a lot of stuff while he saves the city. So for good PR, this company wants Elastigirl to be the front center for the face of the company to get this law overturned where supers are not going to be illegal anymore.
Okay.
So she takes the job, and then Mr. Incredible stays at home with the kids. And then hilarity ensues.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so what's the story? I mean, so is it really good?
I just said the story.
I'm trying to think like what do you talk about?
Dan, what is the story?
Yeah, tell me what the story is. That wasn't good enough. All right, tell me design.
Okay, spoilers then. Let me tell you the whole story. All right, to not give away the ending.
So
from there,
Brad Bird returns. So what like how's his directing? Because he's come back for.
What I liked about this movie a lot is that
he also did Tomorrowland, so that's where I'm like.
But he also did Ghost Protocol, which was really good.
Yeah. That's true. He did.
So for me, the first movie was really a Mr. Incredible story. So we get to see him a lot and him in action. And what I liked about this film, and now it's an Elastigirl story.
It is,
and we get to follow her journey and her because she had this moral compass where she didn't want to be. She didn't want to break the law and be a superhero. So when they said it was outlaw, she was like, okay, it's outlaw. We're not going to do it anymore. And Mr. Incredible, he wants to be a superhero and fight crime and save people. And Elastigirl was just okay being a wife and a mother.
Yeah.
But you see her journey and her growth as she becomes the face of this company and becoming the hero, becoming the spotlight person, and everyone loving her and all this stuff. So it's a pretty cool story.
How are the kids? I think from remembering the original, the kids were the part that like Dash was like one of my favorites. Jack was really fun. Like, are they in this film as much? Oh yeah,
Jack
is a huge chunk of the.
Oh, they're
actually. Okay.
I think Jack steals the movie probably.
See, that's okay.
The subplots are great.
Yeah.
I enjoyed every scene with Jack was great.
It's awesome.
And
the raccoon scene is just great.
Yeah, I think it's like a clever I would say it's like clever comic relief. I feel like all the Jack stuff, but it's like, it's just super fun. It's super fun. I think that.
Now, this isn't a spoiler because in the first movie we see that Jack has multiple powers.
Yeah.
He turns into his demon. He lights on fire. He's shocking, all this stuff. Now they go more into it in this film.
Okay.
Well, it also points out. I have to point out that I rewatched The Incredibles right before I saw The Incredibles 2, and I didn't realize that the parents didn't see Jack's transformations while he was up there.
It was the babysitter.
It was a babysitter, and they couldn't really decipher him, but because it
Yeah,
happened
Syndrome saw it. Syndrome was the only one that witnessed it.
So
right?
for the parents to be going through like what is going on, I'm like, oh, that's right. They don't know because he was up in the air when he was turning into his 5 different forms and then drop back down. Because at first I thought like, don't they know? Like it actually.
I thought the same thing too, and then I remembered as well.
Yeah,
oh wait, they weren't around. It was Syndrome that saw him change.
So speaking of Syndrome, one of the critiques that I've heard about this movie is that the villain is not as good as Syndrome. Syndrome was a really fantastic villain, right? Like he's a fanboy who's gone bad, and so in this movie, who's the villain, and is he as like?
Does he Screen Slayer is the villain.
What is it?
Screen Slayer.
Screen
Slayer. Yeah.
Okay.
And what he does is that he hypnotizes people through the screens of like computers, technology, cameras, whatever. He hypnotizes them and for them to do his bidding.
Okay.
Now the concept of Screen Slayer is awesome. It's a really cool concept, but I guess it could have worked more with the villain. Yeah.
So the villain's probably not as good.
Well, I can't really say much of anything because it's a big spoiler.
Yeah, it is spoiler.
Okay, so I'll make it easy for you guys. Is it Marvel bad, or is it is it Marvel bad villain like where like it's like mustache twirling bad guy?
No.
There's
a good story behind it.
Okay.
But
because that's what I liked about the first one.
Just a reveal is not really a reveal. If that's
I agree with
you. Kind of know.
You
kind of suspect, and you're like, oh, okay. But it didn't bother me at all.
Yeah. Okay. It's still an enjoyable film, and there's a story behind it.
Do you feel like there's a threat at all? Like I know it's a kids movie, so there's no real threat.
Oh no, because the cool thing is, so we follow the Incredibles and Frozone in the first movie.
Yes.
In this film, we are introduced to a multitude of superheroes from all over the world.
Oh, fun.
And so there is a threat going on. Mm-hmm. So there are some moments that are, especially for Elastigirl when she's doing her superhero stuff.
Yeah.
Though you know she'll be okay, but it's still like she has to save a lot of people's lives and stuff.
The one thing we haven't talked about is Mr. Incredible's point of view. And
I was going to ask that next.
That was actually my favorite part of it, is seeing his ego being blown as like, I want to be, number one, I want to be a provider. I want to be the one getting the supers back as kind of the face of, and these are my people. I want to help. Let's get this. And to be told, no, you actually do more harm than good. It takes its toll. The kids are, and the Violet's going through adolescence, and Jack's going through his changes, and him struggling with that on top of hearing Elastigirl, just having her like being all over the news and just getting that praise, and it's just
there is a great scene where he's talking to Elastigirl on the phone and watching the news, and like he's having to you see his reaction to it. It's pretty funny and awesome.
I heard also that it's like a good commentary on like modern marriage too. That's another thing that I heard. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, where like it tells you like a different side of the story, where like obviously he's a stay-at-home dad, and then mom's the provider of the film. The characters. So hey Dan, what's the story about again?
That was good. So it starts off with
okay. So I've got my rating, but I also want to hear about the short film Bow.
Yeah, Bow.
Oh my God.
Bow. Okay,
I think it's Bow.
Okay, so tell me about that one. Because all Pixar films have an
classic
intro.
Pixar film. They have a short film in front of it, but we want to forget the one for Coco because it was Frozen 2 or whatever. That was ridiculous.
Completely forgot about that.
So it's good. It's good.
Thanks for bringing it.
Thanks for re-traumatizing me.
It's a good thing that they made this one because this was a palate cleanser for their shorts. Because for a moment there, I was worried that they were going to try to market it again with Frozen or something. But it's great. It's
one of my favorite ones in recent memory.
It's just so cute, but it's so emotional.
It's so much happens in it.
Well, it's I think we could say like it's a Chinese like a Chinese American family that's involved in it, but the cultural references can be spread like I relate it to it so much for my own reasons.
It starts off with a mother, older mother. Mm-hmm. She is making a dumpling. She's making dumplings for cute. So you see her, and then she makes it for her husband, and they're eating. He eats it really fast. He runs away, and as she eats hers, the dumpling comes to life. So it's
you're kind of like what?
But before that happens, like I think what's important to note is as her husband goes away, she's sad from loneliness because he's lonely. Because she wants to enjoy the meal with him,
and he has to go to work. I assumed he had to go to work. So she's left.
I mean, and that's important to mention because that's like the heart of the film.
Gotcha.
About food and sharing it with family.
Yeah.
All right. And it's just the way she's making things from scratch. It reminded me of my grandmother. And just as the film progresses, it brought back a lot of memories. I think even though I'm not Chinese, but I can relate to
You're not?
I think it's just a very universal story. There's this climax that it's very abrupt, and I burst out laughing with tears in my eyes, but like sad tears. But I'm like, what?
I know.
Did they all die?
You have to see it.
Okay,
I don't want to give it away, but
don't give it away. Don't give it away.
Lead up to it if you like.
Don't give it away.
No, I'm not gonna give it away.
Okay.
So basically, this dumpling comes to life.
Okay,
as a baby, like it starts to cry like a baby, and then it teaches to learn to talk or walk and all this stuff. So the dumpling is basic. So you see it like grow up and become like the dumpling become like a young man,
like a big dumpling.
Yeah, like a big. It's basically it's a big dumpling.
It's a great nickname.
And
big dumpling.
Well, mistake me, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no dialogue in this.
No
right?
dialogue.
So it reminded me of that charm that I remember from WALL-E because it reminded me of Charlie Chaplin. It was just nothing. You didn't need anything. It was
silent
all
cinema.
But you see that the mother's very overprotective as well because he is a dumpling.
There's a mama dumpling?
No, the mom. The
cook.
The cook.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So, because it's basically, she's treating it like her son.
Yeah.
Because she takes it to go shopping and like a dog gets it. And
Hold on,
she has to chase after the dog.
The human
The
human.
Yes.
human
takes a baby dumpling
Yes.
to the market.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And nobody
like,
bats an eye.
No, and like
Nobody bats an eye.
and she feeds it like she'll feed it and then she'll like help it and
Reshape
then so like a dog comes and takes it away and like she stuffs it with more food and fixes him up and stuff like that. So she's very protective of the dumpling son because he's very fragile.
Okay.
So
But even then, I think we've said a lot.
Yeah.
No. I can imagine what the ending is already. Okay. Any final words on The Incredibles 2?
It's a beautiful film. I mean, I loved it so much. It took. I loved that I forgot that it was 14 years in between.
Yeah.
Like I really enjoyed that. I was back in it.
Yeah.
I loved the stories, even where if I was going to complain a little bit, certain things were a little repetitive, like with Edna.
Oh, yeah.
I would have maybe not included certain things, but it was still a good laugh. It wasn't unnecessary. That's just my tiny little nitpick, but I loved it.
Cool.
Yeah, this is definitely a really great sequel, and you could watch them back to back, and it's like a seamless movie.
Gotcha.
So dine in.
It's like a 14-year intermission is
Yeah.
what it was.
All right, Mike. Final words.
I agree. It's super solid. Super solid sequel. Yeah, there you go. Super solid.
Super
There
solid
you go.
sequel.
That's it.
The
Super
triple
solid.
S.
Yeah.
Mike's stamp of approval. All right.
Super fun. The only complaint I would have would be it's like the plot and there is like a reveals which are very, very transparent early on, and I kind of suspect that it was intentional.
I was gonna say because probably for the kids, right?
Yeah.
Because even with Syndrome, it was really obvious.
Oh, for sure.
Like,
Yeah.
But it still worked.
Yeah, and there's dialogue that's in there that reveals as well.
Got
so
it.
it's like very, very, to me it was like crystal clear. Like, oh, got it.
Gotcha.
And then when it's finally shown, it's like, oh yeah, you told me like an hour ago already. Maybe the kids are surprised. I don't know, but
okay. All right. Well, I've got my rating. I'm gonna say this is definitely a leftovers since Dan gave the leftovers earlier.
I got a point then.
No, you get nothing, Dan. You get absolutely nothing. I know it's a takeout. No, it's a dine-in for sure.
All right.
I want to see this really badly.
Go see it today.
I will maybe I will see. But I'll toss the hosting duties back to Dan.
So I wanted to thank, first of all, I want to thank Ashley for being in the audience. Thank you, Ashley.
Hey.
I also want to thank Vasthi for being on the show.
Thank you.
thanks,
This was so much fun.
Yeah, you have to come back.
I would love to.
Yeah. So
For the
anything-
nun?
Yeah, for the nun.
how is it, Vasthi? My eyes are very dark.
I'd be down. As someone who hates scary movies, I'll rate a scary movie.
You can watch it with Mike, so that way you're both covering each other's eyes.
Yes, because Mike is also a big scaredy cat.
It's just the jump scares.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It's just the sound. I love scary movies.
Yeah, he
but
loves
it's-
horror movies.
It's just the jump scares. They always like me and Dan went to see The Gift, and like every single jump scare, like Dan kept catching me like ah, and Dan was like making fun of me. The Gift isn't
funny. It's not scary.
I wouldn't call the Gift. I agree with Dan. The Gift is not scary at all, but it's just the jump scares that like it's just. I don't know if it's a weird reflex from the loud noises.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Well, thank you for being on the show. Thank you so much, and thank you Z as well.
Yep,
Vasthi,
thank
is
you.
there anything you want to promote? And where can people find you if they want to follow you somewhere?
Yeah, on my Instagram and Twitter at East LA Traveler.
Nice.
Yeah, you see some great pictures because you travel everywhere.
Thank you. I also love seeing films in other countries. It's just a different experience. Seeing subtitles or it's dubbed in
Different audiences too.
I do. I love it.
That's awesome. That's something that we should try to do.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds like fun.
First, we have to leave the country, and I don't know if that's allowed yet.
What's your favorite country that you've seen a film in? Like your favorite theater?
I remember seeing in Paris. I studied abroad there, and so I would go to the movies almost every week. And the most memorable one was Attack of the Clones. I said memorable, not my favorite.
I know.
But I would say the one that just opened a different world, and it was really surprising how openly available classic films are in Paris.
That's real.
American movies. So I'd see Charlie Chaplin movies right next to, at the time it was Triple X. It was in normal
Wait, what kind of theater were you going to?
the Vin Diesel Triple X.
Seriously.
Whoops. Got it. Thanks for the clarification.
I thought you guys were movie buffs.
No, I got it. Yeah.
We just wanted to give you a hard time.
Yeah, I walked right into that one again.
Yep.
Don't give anybody
On that note, make sure to watch Charlie Chaplin next week.
double feature.
Double feature.
A double feature. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Vasthi. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching us on Facebook Live.
Yep.
Or if you're listening to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, or wherever you find podcasts. Thank you. Make sure to subscribe. Also rate and review us. Visit our website at moviemenupodcast.com. Follow our social media on Twitter, Instagram, and obviously Facebook. Thank you, guys. Until next week, I'm Dan the Man Munoz saying goodbye.
Bye.
See you later.
See you later.
Tag.
So what made the Attack of the Clones so memorable for you? Was it just because it was the first